what we're going to do, Ms. Montgomery and I are going to really just be the flies on the wall. And if we find that maybe there are places that we might interject something to spark your thinking, we may do that today. Please know we're not trying to take away from you because this is your experience, okay? But it's kind of like coaching. How many of y'all play a sport? Okay, your coaches kind of help you through it first, right? But then when it comes to play the game, you're the one out there having to make the decisions, okay? So today is going to be somewhat of a coaching day, but we're going to see how much you can just roll with it on your own, okay? All right, so Mary Tess, if you want to start them with the first question.
Okay.
And just so you know, you guys are going to be discussing these three characters primarily, I think, at the beginning. So Ms. Montgomery and I are going to chart some of your thinking, and that way we can keep this on as a permanent record as you continue through your Socratic discussions. Okay?
Okay, so who were the Price family as people?
Well, I kind of said poor Leanne, I don't know how to say her name. Just how she's more poetic than the others in her chapters. Just how, because the others, they'll just explain what happens, but she kind of takes a different perspective on it and makes it different and more sophisticated, I guess.
Okay. Can I pause you for just 1 second? There are two things I want you to do. I want you to look at Mary Tess because she asked you the question, okay? And give us something from your book. Can you give us a piece of evidence from the book that would support that she's more poetic than the others?
The entire first chapter.
So can you pull out a specific sentence even, or paragraph?
You guys want to like with the book?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah, whenever they're talking about the ants, he was talking about how they were hungry looking for crumbs, as if they were children.
Yeah.
I can't remember where it's at, but I used to remember that one.
Okay, so what do you guys think of Leah? About Leah.
I have something else to add to her. On page 8, like when she says, my husband, I married a man who could never love me. It seems like she's stuck on something that happened in the past because there's like a reason behind it that she doesn't tell you.
That's a really great point.
Actually, while I was reading, there was a statement that she had said that I was like, why? Because she didn't give a reason for what she was saying, like that statement with the ants and her husband, and then she remarks to a comment that one of her daughters says, and it says, "You see, mother, you had no life of your own," and then she thinks in her mind, they have no idea one has only a life for one's own. So I sort of was wondering what she meant by that.
What page is that?
8. It's like above the last paragraph. I mean, it's like the statement YOLO is basically the same thing, but I don't get why she would say it. Did you guys see that? I have no idea.
I noted that part when I was reading it also, and noted some things under, like that she says later on that same page. So you guys might want to be looking on page 8 and look what she says after that.
And if I can just pull away for just 1 second, what she's just done is exactly what you want to do. You want to pull out pieces and then pose questions and say, I wonder why. Because now what she's done is she's engaged you with another question that's not necessarily on that page, but it's to get you thinking deeply about the text, okay? So just make sure that that's what, and really stay in it. And on the outside, you guys do the same. Get that book open and go to that page and see if you can figure out your thinking along the same lines, okay?
Below what she was just talking about on page 8, Orlina or whatever, says, like she talks about in that same paragraph, it talks about how she says she sees things that nobody will ever, that her family would never know about, and like she talks about seeing birds and stuff, and she talks about how she won't ever tell them and that they'll never know about what some of the stuff she's seen. I just don't know why she would, try to hide that from them or.
So, like, reading the first chapter about what the mom's, like, what she was thinking, do you guys sort of think that she was, like, the whole story behind after that is, this is what happened after they were in Africa? Like, after they were in Africa, they went back to the States. And, like, the time period, it even says, you guys know, like, know what time period they're talking about? Talks about like the Great Depression and stuff. Does it say that?
1960.
Yeah.
Well, I want to add on to something you guys were saying before, Liana. I think right in the same area you guys were talking about, right on page 9, she's still continuing that same, she's kind of, it's all internal thoughts for her. She kind of, her thoughts kind of run together at times, which I know some people said her chapters were a little bit confusing. But she says on page 9, in about the middle of the page, that some of us know how we came by our fortune and some of us don't, but we all wear it the same. There's only one question worth asking now. How do we aim to live with it? How do you guys think? I, in my opinion, I think that question she just asked characterizes a lot of who she is in this book, where she says, how do we aim to live with it? I'd just like to hear what do you guys agree, or how you think that question might fit with her and her story?
She also kind of relates that to the birds on page 6, and how they could be like mothers, and she could lose everything herself or worse, her children. Worst of all, you, her only secret, her favorite. How can a mother live with herself to blame? So I thought that kind of touched on it.
She confuses me.
What about her confuses you? Like her thoughts or her actions, like throughout the book?
Like when in this first paragraph, she talks about like how she, like going back on what all of us has said, like she thinks and she kind of acts like she's depressed a little bit, because she's like doesn't tell anybody anything, and she like when her kids were saying stuff about her, she said they'll never know about my life because I'm the only one who will know, and stuff. And she just seems like she's very, like, keeps her thoughts to herself and depressed, I guess.
And just like what Miss Montgomery said, how she just kind of runs everything together. You really don't know what's what.
She never explains her reasoning behind what she says.
I
Like,
think her depression might have something to do with like what it says on page 7, like where she says, I'm a mother of children dead and alive.
Oh yeah, I see what said that.
Like there might be something about that happened.
Oh, and then I looked up what an okapi was, because I just saw that and I thought it was funky. And it's actually an animal that's in the giraffe family, and so I would have pulled up a picture.
what page is that on?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you guys looked that up. It's funny because that's one of the things, it is exciting. That's one of the things that she and I talked about, and we thought we didn't know if that would be too subtle for people to catch on to, and so at least 2 of you looked that up, which is pretty exciting. So since you brought it up, talk about the copy. What is it? Look back at what it says about it and.
I didn't even realize it was in there.
Says it's a beast.
If you look on page 7, and I'll step back out, I'm not trying to take over, but it says, a family of them now reside in the New York Museum of Natural History, dead and stuffed with standoffish glass eyes, and so the copy is now by scientific account a real animal. Merely real, not legend. Some manner of a beast, a horse's gazelle, relative of a giraffe. When you think about that right there, it says with standoffish glass eyes, and so now the copy is now by scientific account a real animal. Think about what that's saying there in terms of the culture.
That, like, we really didn't know anything about their culture until it was documented more.
At what point did people begin to believe that it was something real?
When they can see it.
Who?
When the first man can see it.
Not the first man. What'd you say,
A
Maddie?
white man?
Oh. I didn't realize that.
So can you guys, can somebody talk about that some? What are your thoughts about that?
The people, like, I guess the Americans didn't believe it because, black people had saw him, but until the first white man had seen it, then they wouldn't believe that it was a real animal.
I'm just gonna throw in a little interjection on this, step back out. You talked a lot about Oriana, okay? So you might want to be thinking about these other two characters in terms of who they are as people and what lessons are they teaching us about culture and their experiences.
So you guys know the age order, like who's the oldest and who's the youngest, like when you read. So is Leah the oldest or the youngest?
Leah's
She's the
oldest.
middle.
No,
Isn't she?
no, the twins in the middle, right?
Yeah.
She is the
Because
twin.
it's,
Oh, Leah.
it's like
Rachel's
Ruth
the
May,
oldest.
the twins.
Rachel's
and
the
Rachel.
oldest. It's Leah and Ada. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ada's the other twin. Yeah. Rachel's the oldest, and then Ruth May. Yeah.
Okay. and-
Leah, I don't know exactly where it was. It was in the. I saw it. I read it last night, and I saw it when I was reading it. It talked about how Leah, the twin, Leah was. Leah took all the. I don't know what it's called. I mean, she disabled Ada in the womb.
And another thing is Leah was like the daddy's girl. She was the one who
Ghosted last night.
yeah.
That really shows at the end when they're at the end of the book when they're talking about how they're building the gardens because she always went out there with him, and even when the mom said she probably shouldn't go out there because he needed a long time, she always went out there and tried to help him with the garden.
She's also very detail oriented, like she needs to know like what they're doing, what they're taking, exactly each step of what they're gonna attempt to do.
Okay. So what do you guys think of Ada or Abe?
She's very,
Reserved now.
yeah, very shy, I guess would be the
She's
word.
quiet, but like in the book you can see she has a bunch of like inner thoughts.
Yeah, she's in.
She's a lot like
Yeah.
Orlina.
Yeah. Have you? She makes like a book reference to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Have any of you guys ever read that before? You know, it's a really, really weird book.
I think
And
most people know like the story though.
yeah, and so the fact that she would reference that and say what part of the book that she liked sort of creeped me out. Because I read that book and it was sort of disturbing. So, yeah.
I think she's the one that sees like things for what they truly are and isn't trying to hide what reality is and make it seem better than it really is.
Can you give some support for that?
If, right.
And you can go ahead.
I mean, this doesn't have any, like, support for that, but I mean, if she would actually, like, I feel like if she would actually say what she thinks, then she would actually help her family get out of a lot of the problems that they're in, because when, like, how she sees things that they truly are, because I kind of call her a people watcher, because she watches everything and sees how it affects the Africans while they're there, and how it hurts their feelings a little bit because they're trying to inflict American stuff on them.
Okay, so you're talking about like the natives in the land. What do you guys think of whenever they had the big ceremony and the party that they served
Oh,
corn?
that
Did
was
you guys
crazy.
read that part?
Yeah.
I had something to add to my statement. It's like it's page 31, and it says like, but no one stays under a roof. It's all front yards, all the world's stage of hard red dirt under barefoot, where tired thin women in an unthinkable state of dress are to spare poke sticks and chew their little fires and cook. Like she actually sees the houses for what they are and doesn't disrespect them like Rachel does.
Where's the part about the where the dad was praying and he was like saying that they're all bad people because I mean
Yeah, that
they
was,
were all not wearing weren't wearing any clothes or
Mhm.
I think I just found it. I think it's in Rachel's chapter,
Okay.
her first chapter.
It's 27.
Yeah, page 26 and 27 is where he starts. Because
It's at the bottom of the page where it talks about nakedness.
yeah,
Yeah, the bottom of 27.
Or you talk it this one, Jared, right here. This, the nakedness,
Oh, yeah.
the darkness of the soul.
like he said, just because I mean in Africa, I mean they don't wear any clothes, I guess up top, and he says they're sinners because of it. But I mean that's just the way they've grown up and that's all they know. So I mean he's inflicting what I mean Americans see that as bad, but he's calling them sinners and saying they're all gonna, I mean go to hell or everything because they're naked. But I mean that's just the way they actually are. So.
And I also thought it was funny when they were talking about like what they kind of wear, like what the men wear and what the women wear. And in the women, they were saying what part of the body was like the most modest and you should cover, and it was like the knees or something. And then he was talking about like everything from the torso up they didn't care about, and I thought that was, I mean to us it's funny, but to them that's what they were.
On page 27 at the bottom, he says, nakedness and the farther repeated and the darkness of the soul, for we shall destroy this place where the loud clamor of the sinners is waxing great before the face of the Lord. So I mean, he's saying they should destroy Africa because he sees them all as sinners, and just because they're doing stuff differently than we do it.
That's a really good point.
Back to what Jared was saying, what he said about being obedient, and on page 32 it says, and so the Price family passes its judgments, all but Ada. Ada unpasses her judgments. I'm the one who does not speak.
While I was reading, I put Ada is the historian, while Leah is like the spiritual storyteller. Because like when you read the book, yeah. She's the one who tells you for what it is, while Leah is the one who's trying to see the best and the good and everything there.
And you can really tell Leah's daddy's girl because their dad's very old-fashioned, I guess, an old-fashioned preacher, and he's very strict about the rules, and she is a lot like that too because she's all about, I don't know how to explain it, she's all about, I guess, the religion part of it, and everything is because of the religion, and Ada's just more like she said, just see things for how they actually are and stuff like that.
Okay, we're gonna move on to like from discussing the book to how it like it influences and should impact us. What differences did you guys notice between the culture of the Congo and our culture?
A lot.
Yeah, there were a lot.
For example, like the clothing and the food. Like,
Yeah.
that stuff.
One big thing is the dad was trying to get this said at the very end of the first book. It was talking about how the dad was trying to get them all to be baptized, and then at the end, I think it was Mama Tabitha, or I don't know who it was exactly. She tells him that they don't ever go in the river, or whatever, because the girl got eaten by a crocodile or alligator, and ever since then they never set foot in it. And he was trying to get them all to go there to be baptized, but I mean, he didn't realize that it's a cultural thing that they don't go in there because they're afraid they're going to get eaten.
Yeah, that's like another one of the unspoken cultural rules type things.
Mhm.
And he even says, it's like, I fail to understand how it took them 6 months to tell me this. And
Yeah, I think that was the mom who said that because, I mean, I think not just the people there, but if any mom figured out that there was a crocodile in the water, they would not want their children near it.
Mhm.
Okay, the sixth question, what dangers may result from failing to learn or becoming educated about the culture of a group you're intending to help?
They reject what you're trying to do, and they don't take, and they think you're just ignorant of the whole situation.
Can you support that with anything that happened in here?
I mean, like the river thing, he didn't know, so it kind of hindered them from being able to be baptized.
And I think another example was during the garden.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the garden, the girl was trying to tell him that no plants will survive if you don't build them a certain way in Africa. And he leveled them out, and she went out there and fixed them for him. And then after she left, him and Leah went right back out there and fixed them. And I mean, I guess that just shows that the whole Price family, besides Ada, was trying to force Americans' point of view on them, and if they would just actually step back and let them, I mean, just help them and not try to enforce themselves on them, then it would have turned out much better because that they would have been able to survive a lot better than what they did.
And then after that, the trees grow and the plants grow, but there's no fruit because they're American plants and there aren't American bugs there.
Yeah, that's another big thing too.
You guys hit on some of this, am I allowed to interject?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
even with the garden, I think back to the very beginning of the book and the things that they wanted to bring. And then even in that first book, what were those things, how many of what they brought actually were useful? And I think, the garden is one example. Can you think of any other examples in there
with
specifically?
the hammer, they said they brought because he said they had no nails to use it with.
Why didn't they have nails?
Because it was all
Adobe.
Yeah.
And then they brought like a cake mix.
That's
hoping-
what- yeah,
that's exactly what I was
hoping
just
to
thinking.
make a
Yeah.
cake. Yeah.
The mom was trying to, because it was her birthday, and she was trying to make it good for her, and she meant well, but, I mean, she brought over cake mix, and obviously it's not gonna, and it didn't work, because, I mean, it was,
Then they brought little stuff that they could just lose, and they didn't bring multiple.
and I don't know exactly where it says it in this book, but it talks about, I think it's around the cake mix part, it talks about how, the mom said we brought all the wrong things, because they brought what they thought they would need and what things that would be good in America, but I mean, it's a totally different world, and they brought everything that they shouldn't have brought, and the stuff they should have brought, they left at home, so.
And how did that impact their relationship with the people and their own family?
they kind of got frustrated with each other just because they didn't have the right tools to do anything, any of the simple things.
I'm gonna make sure that we hear the voice from the outer circle because, that was a very quick 30 minutes, wasn't it? I mean, really, it went pretty fast. Some of you all may not be thinking so, but it did a fantastic job actually at pulling, citing evidence from the text. It was clear that from some of you that as you read, you were looking for those connections, and you stated that insight. So I want to go around the outside circle and give everyone a chance to comment. What was kind of a strong takeaway that you have from their conversation or something you'd like to add?
I really thought the same thing about how they kind of went in and they just want to start changing things without taking their opinion or asking what they really needed. They just thought everything really they were doing was wrong and that it needed to be this way. And really, they were trying to help.
I got that even though Leah, is it Adam?
Adam.
That even though they're twins, they're very different. It sounds like they have like a lot of, like the way they think is different.
I'm just glad that I can be aware of a culture because they look really bad. And I don't want to look bad to people wherever we go.
Well, and I think that that's important. I think, to take that lens as we go through to really see the lessons we can learn from their mistakes, right? Go ahead.
I want to add when you guys said Adasi or Adam, however you say that, sees things for how they really are but won't talk. I think she's not talking because everyone else there in the family is there for the religion part of it. But she's not very into the religious stuff. And so if she tries and talk, like they might get mad at her because she's not going for the religion aspect. She's just seeing it for what it is. So it's just another point of view from her side.
I'm a little agree with the book, but they say like Africans they don't wear clothes. Like Africans they really wear clothes. And then a lot of people ask me here, did you wear clothes in Ethiopia? Oh, Dami, yes.
Oh, I love it.
Which is a great example of real time misunderstandings of cultures. There's lots of work to do.
I love it. Perfect.
That makes me so mad because we wear clothes. Some Ethiopia part, I know we were poor, but we're not like, some people they do it on purpose. Like, they don't get food, he didn't wear clothes, or he's walking on the street without clothes on. All people they say, and then they give him money. That's why he did it on purpose. Some people, like, a really poor country in Africa, like Ethiopia, have this called Dabub color. Dabub color is really poor country in Ethiopia. They don't wear clothes at all because did you wear clothes in there? That's their culture. They punch you or they do whatever they want because they don't wear clothes. They have a lot, like we have a lot of culture, like that's cultural thing. We don't wear clothes, that's their culture. They have clothes, but they don't wear clothes. They wear clothes, that's their culture. They have like a king of that country. The king of that country probably they throw them in the jail. They wear clothes. That's cultural thing. I agree with them. Some of them, but I disagree with them.
I wanted to add on to Adam because I thought she was underestimated because of her condition. It was, I can't say it, hemiplegia.
Along that, I think, yeah, it's where she didn't have enough.
Yeah. And but we also have to remember, like, this was a lot of years ago. This was in 1959, so.
So something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, take it away.
Well, like you all were saying, the forcing the culture and like going back and changing things and, or bringing too much of what they had with them whenever they were packing to go over there instead of trying to embrace the culture that they had over there and using the things that they had.
I don't remember who said it, but I caught it, talking about you don't believe it till you see it. I don't think they really know until you go over there and stuff like that.
I don't think that they really took time to understand why the people acted the way they did. Like why they did a certain thing, like with the garden, why they planted it the certain way, or why they wouldn't go by the river. They didn't take time to really notice or understand it. That's why they tried to change it so fastly, because they just were thinking about how they would do it, not how the Africans did it, because that's their culture.
And I think to add on to that, I've had a friend that's told me multiple times we must first seek to understand and then be understood. So I think that there's a very valuable lesson in that. All right, to honor the time, I want you guys to flip places. And in your flipping of places, have a conversation with your partner about how many times that you recorded that they cited the text. And also, they supported their colleagues in their conversation. Take a few minutes to share that.
I targeted it. A little bit, yeah. I think I remember the second time you saying that was one of the marketplaces.
Yeah.
Good discussion. We're so thoughtful.
Because I can't run under.
Okay. And just know that we're kind of rushing you through this today, but the next time you do this, you are not going to need anyone here telling you how it operates, right? Okay? I just want to say for the group that was in the inner circle, fantastic. I could tell that some of you have prepared. And I think Ms. Montgomery's probably going to maybe give you some opportunities to go a little bit deeper with some of the pieces, but I really think that you're on the right track. So definitely with the discussion, just keep in mind if you're on the inner circle right now, that this is a conversation within the table, okay? So have your, keep your eyes on the people that are talking and really listen and respond to what they say, okay? The purpose is we want to grow in our understanding, and we want to leave here today with something we can take and apply to our project. That, and I say our, but your project. That is the most important piece of all of this, okay? Now, we are going to kind of shift our direction. To talk about some of these other characters. And we need a discussion leader. So who's feeling pretty confident in their ability to lead this group? Mary Tess did a fantastic job. She modeled very nicely for you. Okay, so who thinks they feel confident being able to handle that? And just know you've got your questions here, for this time. We've given you some questions to kind of spark your thinking, right? So who thinks they are prepared to talk about, to lead the discussion? Throw the questions out and kind of keep people thinking.
I'm going to say Emily.
Okay, they have voted for you. No? Anybody else want to accept a nomination or nominate yourselves? We've got to make some progress.
Joseph.
Okay, Joseph, are you accepting that nomination?
Yes, if no one else will.
Okay. Well, that is one attitude to take about it. All right, so how about absolutely? I would be honored to lead the group. Here we go.
Absolutely.